Listen, this the Revolution broadcast. Now pay attention to Elaina and her podcast. Never leak it and show it. Gotta pull your own weight if you reap it, you sow it. Yeah, gotta plan it and grow it.
Hey y'all. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me again for our fourth episode of Eat with the Poet. I am your host, Elaina the Poet, and we have an amazing show for you today. Before we get started, you already know what time it is. It's time to get our shout-outs out the way. We have to pay respect to everybody that has something to do with anything that involves giving back or servicing the people. Specifically, we're going to give a shout out today for my home team, Cool People, rah. One time for Cool People with that dope theme song. And we're giving a shout out to Belle P Photography and Videography. Whoop, whoop, whoop. One time for the Belle PZ. We're shouting out Crystal Chanel with Press Release Marketing. We're shouting out Maury Tai Beyond Imagination Arts. Listen, y'all see my face, right? Every time we shouting her out. We're shouting out Miss Gigi Brown for letting us shoot here at Gigi's Music Cafe. She is also the owner of G's Gourmet Market here in Sunrise, Florida, and the English Brown Winery, where she has a wide variety of wine selections that are her very own. So we shouting out Miss Gigi. One time for Black History Month, y'all gotta say Miss Gigi is a Black historian living amongst us. Doing things and servicing the people. So we shouting her out for real. We have to shout out Chef Terrence in the back today, cooking it up for us. And last but certainly not least, I want to shout out Jesus because I'm a Jesus girl. Gang, gang, gang. Yes. All right. So real quick, I told you this before, guys, but I want to tell you again. Just so you know, especially for those of you who this is your first time checking us out, and you're like, what is she doing? What is this? This show underlines my journey as a poet. Its premise is based on my real life experiences along the way, and with that, I want to give back, and I want to follow up, all right? So stay with me, because we on a journey together, y'all, and you know what it is. Today's show topic, the inauguration and the gift of poetry. Go figure. You know we're talking about poetry today because you already know. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and get right into our show because I got a lot of things that I want to talk to you about. You know what I'm drinking on. One time for the Bob Marley. Summer already came. When I walked in the door today, I was like, listen. It's been a long day. She was like, you want your Bob Marley now? I'm like, yeah, let's do it now. All right, so this is how I'm feeling, y'all. And you know whenever I'm feeling some type of way, I'm going to share it with you because I'm asking that you share how you feel with me. You have to subscribe. You have to like. You have to comment. We in this thing, all right? So here we go. Today, I just want to know, why does the world acknowledge that poetry is a gift, yet they don't treat it as such? This is my question. The world acts as if poetry just became emotion altering, or like I call it, ear gospel for the mind and heart. It's time for the shift. All it takes is the right thing, the right person, and the right time. But I feel the atmosphere changing. Poetry is not a fad or a trending topic, okay? It's life for so many. Amanda Gordon is amazing, but she has been active for a long time, and the world never knew her name until now.
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real.
Just like I know some amazing poets personally, and I'm sure there are plenty others that I don't know who would have loved that blessing of an opportunity. All right. Poets who can write circles around writers who have been grinding for a long time and have to sit back and big her up like groupies, all in the name of our love for poetry. And I do say our or we, because of course I am a poet. All right. But we are old out here in these streets. And we have made a conscious decision to change lives with our voice. Plus, everything in life is mostly based on who you know. Okay? Poets literally are the most sacrificial artists in this game. We as a country should treat our poets with much more love and support. When I say support, I mean financially. Now, y'all can see my nose is flaring up a little bit because I'm passionate about this. Okay? Now, when I say support, again, like I said, I mean financially. Seriously, y'all, I am always reminding people of the power in poetry because it's not a common subject or as popular of an art as music, right? Let's just keep it real. I tell people all the time, poetry is a world. Like anything you are really into, you see how big it is in its form. And I discovered that I love poetry when I wrote my first poem, but I did not fall in love with it until the world broke my heart for the last time, and I devoted my days and my nights to YouTube videos of different poets, national and locally, to see what was out there, to see what work, who put in. How did they do it? Was it effective for them? And what gave them the drive to keep at it? You know what I'm saying? It mattered. It mattered to me because I wanted to know how to get in this world and make a difference. I wanted to be different. And most of all, I wanted to show the world what God could do through me with a poem. All right? Now, as I got deeper in, I'm going to be transparent with y'all. When I got deeper in, that's performing, being booked for nothing, to a little of what I think is fair, to what I could not do less than for anymore. I began to become more spiritually in tune, as that was the direction that my poetry was to go in on my journey, right, as a poet. But I would literally pray for the words to a poem. Seriously. Like literally, I would pray for the words to a poem. And I knew that I would not be the best poet because, like I said, I know some amazing poets. And I happen to have two of them joining me on the show today. Not only amazing poets, but amazing people. Okay? Who I've loved from the very beginning of my journey because they have always embraced me. All right. And when I say from the very beginning, meaning like if you have a desire to write poetry and you feel like that there's really no way to start, how do you even get into it? Understand, like I said, it's a world within itself. So when you attach yourself to people who are actively in that world, then you begin to see how things operate there. So like I said, they embrace me, always show me true love. And more than that, these poets have packed stadiums and auditoriums with people from near and far in the name of poetry. And I will not mention their names right now because you already know, like any other show, you will see them at our eating session. Okay? So, let me take a sip of my ball because I think I lost my place. Okay, back. I'm back. All right. Well, when we eat together, they're going to tell you who they are. They're going to tell you what they have going on in their lives as a poet. They are going to tell you where you can find them. And yeah, like I was saying, back to the subject. I knew I wouldn't be the best poet, I knew that, but I just wanted to be one of the best, It is still my desire for the shift to take place in my life, where the world will hear what thus says the Lord, not Elaina the poet. I am just a vessel, but I know I am talking to some of my sisters and my brothers in rhyme out there when I say it is time for the world to support the work of the poets like they do the music. Huh? I know. High five. I'm high-fiving y'all right now. We high-fiving out here, huh? Okay? Because we are like street preachers. Understand. We should get all the benefits of being workers of the world, like essential workers. For real, people need poets because people need poetry. I do. I know that I do. Okay? All right. Now, Amanda Gorman, I apologize. Amanda Gorman said in a TED Talk, everyone can be a poet, but not everyone can be a great poet. Now I'm about to dip into my bag of opinions. All right. And that is the difference. So here we go. I feel that. Okay. I feel that because there's a difference for me. There's a difference for people who write poetry and people who live as poets. There's a difference, right? Okay. So understand me. Poets see poetry beyond the poem. The power is in the reception of the intention behind each word, not the interpretation, right? Follow me. Because the interpretation is wide, right? The interpretation is wide. People can get what they get from it. You see what I'm saying? But the energy is specific to the intention, right? Y'all with me? Stay with me. There lies the power. There lies the gift. Okay? Now, the pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts said, you're passionate about what you're willing to suffer for. All right? So anything that you're willing to go through a struggle for, to see success for, is connected to your purpose. You with me? You with me? Okay, it's connected to your purpose. Poetry is my purpose. All right. So many people still don't know what their purpose is. That's important. All right. Poetry is my purpose. I will never abandon it because it has proven to be my lifeline. That's what it is for me. Okay. Like a rope. Here we go. You know I'm going to get poetic, right? Like a rope that was in the right place when I was falling off the cliff, as if God had tossed it in midair and I caught it just in time to save myself from the bottomless pit, and it belted me to safety where I safely wrapped my words around my soul with my whole heart. I am committed to seeing it through till the journey's end. All right, so just think about this. Question: why doesn't the poet get better support from the world financially? Can we chime in? Y'all got to subscribe and like and comment. I'm with you. You with me? Okay. Can we chime in and answer that question? Why are the amazing poets in America not greater in the world than we are? Why don't we act like poetry, or why do we act like poetry is so prestigious yet so unworthy, all right, of the world's attention until it is force-fed to us? Inauguration. One time for the ball. Nobody even knew they was opening up the inauguration with poetry. And when they did it, all the world saw the power of poetry. But it was force-fed to us. All right. And we are going to talk about that today with our Poets of America from South Florida in our eating session coming up right after this Eat with a Poet.
A&E Financial and Tax Services are now accepting clients. We are located in the Jewelry Exchange Plaza, 7124 North University Drive, near the DD's Plaza. So come on in, book your appointment.
And we are back. Yes, we are back, and I am so excited. I know I told you earlier that I have two amazing poets, and I still do. One of them are on their way here now, but I couldn't hold back. I couldn't allow for you guys to wait any longer. I have to introduce you to this amazing poet who sits on the left of me today. Joining us for our fourth episode is Quick the Poet.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh man, Quick, tell them who you are.
South Florida's very own Quick the Poet, born and raised right down in South Florida, Broward County. I represent all of South Florida, that is Broward, Dade, and West Palm Beach and beyond. Matter of fact, the state of Florida. Represent life. I'm the founder and CEO of Floetry Flow for Me Entertainment, LLC, the Quick to Love Foundation, and Mom Special Needs Services. I'm the owner, founder, and CEO of 6 major shows, one of which is retired that gave birth to all of them. That is the Great Floetry Sundays that historically took place here in South Florida, literally from 2012 up to 2017. And I'm humbled and honored to have basically grown to where I've grown to. And I worked extremely hard. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I have 4 kids, 4 beautiful daughters. They're amazing. And a king got here with them. And I live my life by the fact of I love hard, I live hard, and I try to support the world as best as possible by leading by example. I'm not perfect, as you can see, with a good toast on. But what makes me perfect in my regard is I'm perfectly imperfect at being myself, and I do my best to be the best person I can be for myself and for the world. So with that being said, again, I'm South Florida's very own Quick the Poet, and I'm honored and humbled to rock with you all. Honored. I got to take off my hat. You know, this chivalry so I can teach y'all folks something to the queen. I'm humbled to be a part of your show and your experience, your interview, just to even be invited to this opportunity. I guess better said in her terms, like she talked to y'all from before, I guess I was kind of booked for this. You know, but I'm honored to be worthy of your time. You're worthy of mine.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
I really appreciate that. It is real love. You know what I'm saying? You are my brother. You already know. Real quick story. It goes way back. Like he told you, he is just pretty much the man here in South Florida when it comes to poetry. All right, and then hold on, y'all. Sorry, y'all. I needed to put that on silent, but that happened.
No, what happens is this. Here's the truthful part. Business calls.
Right.
She calls her booking to talk with y'all. Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
You know, but I just, I met him because I went to his spot one time. I don't remember which spot that was. I think it was Kookaroo's.
Yeah, it was Kokomo's, I think it was. Yes, as a matter of fact. What she's basically referring to is Floetry Sundays outgrew 10 different venues in South Florida. I'm not going to even try to name them all.
Right.
Until we ended up at the world famous Broward Center for the Performing Arts, where we now present the Mega Flows. And I guess we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it whenever. Because, we're going to plug the people because we want everybody to know what everybody got going on. Because we out here for you.
Sure enough.
That's what it is. I want to talk to this man. We got the food coming, so y'all chill. Y'all gonna see we're gonna eat some good vittles. And, what you're drinking on right now is a Bob Marley.
Bob Marley, it look like it, though.
Made by my girl, Summer. Because we be rocking out here at Gigi's.
That's what I'm talking about.
We got Chef Terrence in the back. I say giving him shouts out. You'll see why.
For sure. Chef Terrence. Yo, Summer. I love you.
This is going to be hard for me, y'all. I'm telling you right now. This is going to be hard. I'm going to try my best. All right. Real quick, I just want to get y'all into his head a little bit more. I have a question for him. Go. What's your favorite black historian since it's Black History Month?
100% Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay.
Period. The reason why is that one thing I love about Martin, excuse me. And the reason I'm saying Malcolm is because he's going to tidbit into my statement.
Right, go.
The reason I love Martin so much is he really, in the whole aspect of everything, is for everybody. Mm-hmm. I don't have to break that down.
Right.
Martin is about worldly love, support, and unity.
Correct.
The twist is that certain parts of my personality are very Malcolm.
Okay.
It is. And I also love Malcolm, and he comes in a close layer of 3 or 4 different people I don't want to drag out, but at least in the lead in front is Martin. But the Malcolm part for me that adds to my Martin is it is the militant part. Mm-hmm. Well, there is an understanding part to me of where, with or without you, I'm getting this done, and with and or without you, I'm going to set the standard of what peace should be. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. I get it. And a lot of that probably naturally is in you because You are, for one, a black man, and for two, a father and
Yes,
a
ma'am.
husband. So quite naturally, those things make up a good quality man, which is why I can see why you love Martin. Because
Absolutely.
Martin, roundabout, people loved him for all those wholesome things.
Absolutely.
So that's good. That's good. I like that. All right. Now let me ask you a question. This is not the question part, y'all. We ain't get there yet. Right now we just chilling. You know, we vibing. We on a vibe right now. You know, I'm giving y'all a little bit of goodness, some jewels that y'all can use and get to know a few poets better, you know, specifically my brother here. So we getting in people's head a little bit, you know. I was thinking about this, right?
Okay.
This, I'm going to call this, tell me how you feel about how I feel.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, you know, poetry has so many moving parts, especially when you're a part of the world and the world of poetry. I want to talk about poetry, slam poetry.
Sure.
All right. So I'm wondering, because this thought came into my head because I have been seeing like a lot of little slams like online now. People are trying to get back into that vibe, and I'm like, dang man, you know, I always see how people can win like thousands of dollars, you know, on certain levels when it comes to slam poetry.
Sure.
However, why does it end there? You know, why is it that they feel, or the world feels, that it's okay to do, to experience something where a person grinded so hard in a competition past all these other people that were considered to be great, enough to win thousands of dollars?
Sure.
And I mean, we can use the money, but why doesn't it gain you something more solid as someone, because when it gets to that point, to me, this is just me personally, when it gets to that point for me where I'm competing, and I feel like I'm going up against you, and my poetry is good enough to be judged by people who've never known or maybe seen or probably heard my name. When it gets like that, then I'm serious about it.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm making this a part of my life.
Sure.
So I want to take this somewhere.
Absolutely.
Why is there not something that allows for us to take it somewhere? Like, you know how when you do those little music competitions,
Absolutely,
and then you win a contract,
sure,
or you win a thing and you get an advance and you get to move on. What you think about that?
I would say I agree with you on the aspect of where does it go from now. Being on the poetry and spoken word scene, myself, I started, it was around about 2006, 2007, and my home of poetry, where I was a house poet at, was Mellow Mondays in Hollywood at Bluster's, which was hosted by Deaf Poet, HBO Deaf Poet, Asia Sampson. Yeah. And I never even knew about the whole slamming part of that period of time until I grew up in the field. And I grew up over the next 3 or 4 years. And there were a few slams in between, and I saw the big ones taking place. And I think what happened overall, especially when I got into doing my show, because at Floetry Sundays just in general for 5.5 years, I would have to really think back, but I can tell you right now, I never did a slam at Floetry Sundays. Honestly, because of exactly what you said. It for me, it was, though it was for competition effect, a part of me was sitting back and watching, truthfully. I thought it depending on who actually put on the event in itself. Even within the poetry and spoken word community, I think at certain times it actually was exploited. It was used in a way to get poets to come out and to perform. And now mind you, it's nothing wrong with that. Open mics do that all the time. Y'all rock how y'all want. Correct. But exactly. I think what happens is after that, because regardless of what level you end up putting it on, it becomes, once you make it the thing, what I don't think poets and spoken word artists over time really kind of thought about is things start to evolve. And here's where it comes full circle. Okay, if you end up doing all of the slams in itself, and it builds up to just being the slams in our world. I'm talking about with us living in that world, because me and you have been in numerous slams in itself. We're still in the same box that we started in, regardless of how popular we are within our window.
Correct.
And it's just my opinion on it. I think it still ends up being a box. I'll never forget being told, you know, and in numerous cases, I don't have to name no names, you know, no petty nonsense, but I remember being told if I, you know, basically really wanted to evolve, you know, I needed to make sure that I got into these slams, and I ended up on Southern Fried. That was the most predominant, the most prominent one.
Yeah.
I've heard of numerous across the globe.
Southern Fried is the biggest
but
one.
Southern Fried in the U.S. just even giving play on it right now. I got to get to. You got to get there. You got to be the guy at that. Here's the crazy part. I ended up, respectfully stated, becoming exactly who I am without ever even performing on that grid.
Mm-hmm.
The slam parts are amazing. What I love is the storytelling, the talent, the writer skills, and all of that. I witnessed it. I've traveled to a Southern Fried, so to actually really, really be there in the window to witnessing it all. There's no shot at Southern Fried or any other slam in general.
That's not what
you know, because obviously I participated because I that's why I really honed a lot of my craft at. But what happened is that one thing I had a chance to sit back as a fan of and also an observer, and I studied the market in itself. Mm-hmm. That's why my shows in itself, they consistently became successful, was because I watched how they succeeded, but also how they failed. Mm-hmm. And where you become blinded at is with the slam part, we still windowed ourselves. You can get to this level, you can win $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, or whatever.
Yeah.
But they still had us in a box. Tell me anybody on a consistent basis, or just outside of anybody, because you have some who are really doing their thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But we shouldn't have to hope for a miracle that you have millions of singers and musicians that people can name all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
But the same millions of musicians and singers out there in the world, we have that and more in the poetry and spoken word world. And poetry and spoken word gave birth, arguably, to every form of performance genre.
So you gonna put your hand up and high five me
now? You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I'm just telling people the truth. Everything. If they really want to challenge it, feel free, look it up. Look back to even the most historical, even caveman. You know what I'm saying? You know, thank you.
You straight?
You know, but you know, to roll it back to what you had said and where it comes full circle. Slams are amazing for skill in that moment, skill and talent for that writer in that moment. But the reason I keep going back to the phrase "in that moment," they still keep us all in that moment. It doesn't matter who I am in my world. We're still in that moment. Outside of that, until someone else decides to put us on a platform and say, you know what, this means something right now. Amanda Gorman, what she got going on right now, for me, I'm impressed by it, you know, and I want to give some tidbits on it in a little bit, but to roll it back, because she also come back from the slam world to herself.
She did, yeah. I did some research on her. She's young,
right? For me, where it all comes back to too is, if Amanda Gorman wasn't given that shot,
listen,
you know, somebody like yourself, somebody like me, somebody like you want me to keep going? What, Will the real one? You know what I'm saying? Like you have numerous heads. I can name you just from South Florida alone. That if you didn't, especially with the whole slam part, if you never performed in that world, if you didn't meet and or interact with the right people or perform with the right people, they still keep us in a box, boxed off, just that slam. It's not just slam poetry. It's so far beyond that.
Beyond that.
And that's why I created the Mega Flows, to make sure that it goes well beyond it. And the Mega Flows land on the same level as any other major genre.
So let me just ask you this, because you are all the way a businessman in poetry right now. Like, you are all the way business.
Hated by some for that. That's a whole nother subject.
So, but because you are all the way business, from the beginning of your journey, because you mentioned your beginning when you were a house poet with Mellow Mondays.
Yep.
So let me just real quick plug that I was a house poet at Voices and
I
Vibes.
hear you.
You understand with Terry Meredith.
That's right.
All the way back.
Terry gave me a shot.
Known as the illustrator now, but you know. So, but anyway, what happens to me with that when you mention that and you say that? At what point did you realize that you could get money off of this? That you deserve to be paid for this grind that you were putting in?
Truthfully, you know what did it for me? It was before I even stepped on the scene. When I was released from the NFL, being with the Chicago Bears and picked up by the New York Jets, when I came back in 2002, what most people don't even know is, it's crazy, it's the first time I'm actually mentioning in public like this, but my poem, Going Back in 60 Seconds, and anybody that's heard it, in any case, that literally, it's like one of my most classic and historical poems, and it literally starts, and just like that, I was right back where that all started.
I love that poem.
I started writing that poem in 2002, but didn't even end up performing that poem until 10 years later because of the embarrassment that was involved with it, the emotion that I poured into it. But I knew when I was like literally getting on the poetry and spoken word scene, when Asia gave me a shot, what most people didn't even know is the first poem I ever performed, I freestyle. I was scared to tell my own material because I was scared of rejection. Like, I didn't want them to know. Nobody didn't know I was in football or any of that till 3 or 4 years into it. Until I got into my own show, even my own mentor, Asia. And I knew I was worth the money then, but I got to be honest. And this is something to any form of up-and-coming poet. You have to grow in your craft and respect the actual realm of poetry and spoken word. Just because you're a dope writer don't mean you're a dope feature. A headliner. You have to develop yourself. And I had to develop myself over time. And when I finally got to that point, that's when I started my show. And that's when I pretty much said to myself at that time, I know I can get paid for this because I have a following that believes in what I write and also who I support. I built mine behind what I write, how I support, and how I produce a show. I knew I was dope at the show production, but I had to literally humble myself and make sure, hey, listen, I don't care how dope you are. Nobody even know you do this at all.
Right.
Nobody don't even know you do this at all. So you gotta take your steps accordingly. And with taking those steps accordingly, it literally, that's what ended up making my shows successful because I was so protective of every time that I did it because I treated it just like when I was in the NFL. At any period of time, somebody can shut down this damn venue and then my show ends. Then I got to pick up from some parking lot or park or another venue and hope that nobody don't try to exploit me. But exactly what you said. Venues, no pun intended to GG's. I've had experiences here that were amazing. I love GG's. GG's helped my show shoot through the stratosphere.
Right.
But I've had other venues, which I'm never going to hide that, and I'm going to look you in the camera and tell you this. All you had to do with, like in any show in particular that's successful, work with the show producer, work with them and the artist deserves to be paid.
Correct.
If you have a budget to present that show, somewhere in between that budget, you have something to offer that person that breaks their neck to come out to you.
Correct.
We all know we have to earn our stripes.
Correct.
But you have to also layer it. And in these venues of past, and in a case like that I like I said, that I really don't respect is I've always respected business and I'm about a house getting their money. I get that.
Correct.
But not for you to try to take everything in a case of especially what my show brought to these specific venues.
Okay.
That I'm not biting my tongue on. They're going to have to own that. They're going to have to own that. I'm over that. I'm talking to every one of them that was in that situation. They know who I'm talking to. I don't even have to name your name.
Because transparency
that's
is
not
the name
cool.
of the game over here.
I'm a professional.
And really and truly, to be honest, people, there are things that need to be said.
Oh man, what is this?
It done came, y'all.
Magically delicious, man. What is all this?
Summer in the building. Summer, shout out. Shout yourself out some song. With her mask on.
I just want to
let y'all know this is Eat with the Poet. We are back, and you know we got that food on deck, right? So we working with a little bit of wings and some fries. I couldn't hold quick back, but it's cool, you know.
Magically delicious.
It's the eating session, so we can dig in. I haven't really eaten anything today. Have you tried these? Our fried green tomatoes.
Never.
So you should.
I don't even lie. I thought that was like.
That's fried green
I
tomatoes.
didn't know that was that.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and try that out.
So good too.
Looks real good. Looks
We
amazing.
got some fries and chicken wings, of course. I'm gonna try one of these little wings. I like mine to be extra crispy. Let's see what happens. But listen,
Yes, ma'am.
we not off of the chat right
So
now. We back on the chat, and just so you guys know, I just want to kind of fill you in. We got the other poet, who is going to be coming very shortly and joining us at the table, and then we're gonna step it up a notch, get some more energy in here. But listen, so let me ask you,
Sure.
right? You don't gotta say a poem, but I know for us, it's natural. It comes naturally.
Sure.
If you give people a small peek into your heart where poetry is concerned, how would you describe your love for poetry? Take your time. Well, keep it real now. Tell them how you really feel about it.
And that perfect and perfect woman with flaws and all be all of the woman I'd want and all of the woman I need, not be caring any less about any of these perfect, pretty pebbles out there across the Lord's 7 seas. So, Lord, can I just please fall on the right side of that old Chinese proverb and quote what someone wrote? That a diamond with a flaw is worth more than a pebble without imperfections. So that patience is a virtue. So let me tell you all, I knew that, yeah, that part.
Oh, come on.
You want me to say it,
Look.
don't you?
What you know?
You want me to say it, don't you?
But you
The
know what?
last punchline.
But you know what? Nobody could have described it that way. You think they got it?
I don't think they got it. I think they got. Well, no, I think they did get it. You know, and just telling them it. And the further answer for you, you know, it really segues into the last line when I said, "Gotta stop wasting my time picking up and playing with all those pretty perfect pebbles."
You know,
What
that's
most
one
people
of my
don't know.
favorite poems of you, right?
Yeah.
One. Because you have a few of them. But that particular one is the one that I really, really like. I've heard you say it 1,000 times, and it's just as beautiful. But I know how it is sometimes.
I love it. I know what, you know, what happens for me is as a whole. One thing I love about, like, when it comes to my work, regardless of how it comes out, that poem in particular was life changing for me
Thank you.
because I'm referring to the spinoff of my wife fighting through everything, you know, before we ended up being married. For me to get to a comfortable space of knowing that she was the one, has been the one.
Come on now.
You know, no comparison. I'm talking about me and my wife have incredible conversations. I'm gonna show enough try them. But what poetry means to me is, it means my livelihood. My story is built in them.
Mm-hmm.
And that woman was with me when I had nothing.
Mm.
You know, some people, it's like, oh, you still have stuff. No, I didn't have nothing. Not in that space.
Mm.
There was a period of time that lady was paying my bills.
Come on.
You know, over a few months stretch, because I just hit a hard window.
Right, correct.
But that's also the reason why, you know, give or take, my wife has worked a normal 9 to 5 in the last 5-6 years of her life. Why? Not because we're rich, but we finally made it to a window of where it's not just my poetry and spoken word. It's not just the seed that we survive on. Right. We survive on us.
I wouldn't have my damn poetry and spoken word opportunities in these shows. These people wouldn't have none of these opportunities if it wasn't for her.
Come on now.
That is a fact. That is a fact.
That is so beautiful.
That is a fact.
Listen.
She believed in me when I had nothing. And she cried when I got my first major check.
Come on.
This is us.
I love
And she got half that check. Easy. Out the gate.
Come on.
Might as well say she got it all because it went to our household and our family, you know?
Right.
And that's what poetry and spoken word
So
means to
poetry
me.
made you a better man.
Absolutely.
Through poetry, you chose to be a better man.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
That's a beautiful thing.
Without a doubt. She believed in the story.
That's poetry saving your life and being a part of your life and being a very real thing to you. So I'm going to need people to understand that it is not a fad and it is not a trending topic. It is life for so many.
Absolutely.
So many.
She was sitting front row, pregnant with our last set of kids, our twins. And there's a picture, it's my favorite ever. When I got off the stage, I went to hug them. And like I told her not to even come to that show. And she said, if I, as long as I'm still standing and I can walk, I'm coming.
Aww.
I don't want you making
One
this
time
fun
for
as us.
Queen Betsy, man.
Yeah, man.
Betsy Jermaine Evans. One time for you, sis.
Yeah, she's the truth.
We shouting you out in here. Don't eat with a poet. You get the love in here. Understand that. It's a very real thing.
I wouldn't be who I am without her. And that's why we just build together. Build our businesses together and build our livelihood.
No, it's supposed to be. That's what marriage and life is supposed to be. The foundation has to be solid.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? And once you got a solid foundation, it's going to stand. It's going to stand firm. And it's going to stand a very long time.
Agreed.
And it's going to be hard to knock it down when that foundation is solid.
Sure enough. It's amazing what kind of traffic I ran into with that. Surely trying to knock it down. That shit didn't work.
Let me ask you a question.
Yep.
If you had to convince the world that poetry is just as deserving as music, how would you persuade them in your words? That's what I want to know. How you think? What you think about the fried green tomatoes? That's your first time trying them.
That's the first thing, really.
Chef Terrence in the back.
Chef Terrence, you did your thing, man.
One time.
And are doing your things. We over here tearing down what you got. That goodness and GG's.
You understand?
Get your life.
Trust me. We shouting you out. Go ahead.
But I would say give the same opportunity that you've given to any and everything else, genre-wise. And the same thing, and at least an approach when it comes to poetry and spoken word. Meaning that the competitions globally until recently have just really started to include that of poetry and spoken word. And I'm not saying we were just purposely excluded. I think it should have been included in even the statement of, whether singers, musicians, artists, this. I think for a long time, if not up until right now, we in a kind of in a way we have felt excluded and or not like we weren't even a part of even being included. Like this is why we had to create this. So honestly, I think that's what really the slam parts came from.
Yeah, trying to make a bigger world for ourselves.
You are
trying to show people that we are to be competed with.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? We are to be reckoned with.
Right.
Like, you could bring your hip hop people. You could bring who you want to bring. Poets is gonna stand up in the paint, and they gonna tell you some way more raw stuff in a way more organized fashion.
I can tell you numerous hip hop artists. No disrespect to them. Once I was rocking as a hip hop artist,
Right.
MC. On a group called Southpaw, I was rapping. But it was because I was scared to really express and that I was a poet because there was never a platform that made me comfortable to be able to go on there and do it. So I was like, I went with the cliche thing. I was being a rapper. So
exactly.
And I shut that shit down. And I said, I'm going to be exactly who I am.
Right.
And I'm thankful I took a chance on that shot. My boy Kill, he took me, the Asian at Mellow Mondays, and it completely took off. And I'm honored that took place. But I think what needs to take place is more established ground And maybe we need to put it in place too, you know. And I think in a way. In fact, I know in a way I'm doing it. I know in the way I'm doing. That's why I do with my mega flows.
Correct, exactly.
I don't compare myself to nobody.
Correct.
In that regard, I just create the event.
Correct.
And what I love about a poetic friend of mine who gave me a call, he hit me up, who basically frequents the slam circuits and stuff like that. Like he's incredible. The most humbling thing I heard from him was, and that's why I said we need to continue doing it, is he said, "Quick, as a friend, I want the person to tell you, man, keep doing what you're doing. You are literally the only poet that I've ever seen that has never performed with us in the slam circuit world. You know, consistently, that literally went off the grid and created something so powerful that people are still following in the name of us, just in a different way. Right. And it's positive and it's loving. And he's 100% right. Yeah, he is. I'm a true believer. I love everybody. But I'm not going to sit back and let poetry and spoken word, especially when it comes down to myself and my livelihood and what my wife supported with my kids to this day. I never be treated like shit.
But what you understand about this world is that you do have to carve out your own path.
Damn right.
You have to carve, and like in anything in life, we have to create a lane for ourselves. So, I mean, that's if you want to be effective, and that's if you want to make a difference. If really you just trying to be a part of what's going on, just to have something to do, I like to call that a hobby. You understand what I'm saying? And for me, this ain't no hobby. You understand? So that's the difference. And so, therefore, because it's not, I had to get a little bit creative. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you have to do. Like, even with you, the shows and different things like that, you're constantly having to think of a way to reinvent your show. You know what I'm saying? You have to think of a way to make it more popping this time than it was the time before.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? Which requires you know the talent that you're looking for, or search for talent that you feel would best be fitting for the people that's following you. And then even people that you want to follow you from this point on, like coming to your show as a guest of someone else, like, dang, now I got to follow this man, because this man right here, you know what I'm saying, he got some dope, he knows some dope people. He putting together some dope things. This guy's pretty big. What you understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, and that's a blessing. And that's the thing that people don't understand. For me, it's like when people say stuff to me like, "Oh, you're so amazing, Elaina." Oh, and to me, it's like, thank you, Jesus. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm nothing. Like, I could have came on the scene and got on the mic and just, you know what I'm saying, been just like everybody else. And nobody noticed me. They just know that I'm always there. Oh, yeah, there she goes. She always come through. Yeah, she faithful now. She slide. But no, God put something special in my DNA. You know what I'm saying? So when I came through, I allowed for him to use me. And I'm going to tell you something. I wasn't going to change that. Because like how you were saying, they put us in the box. People definitely try to put me in the box. With, you know, being a spiritual poet. That's just what you are. You know what I did? Went on ahead and embraced it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go ahead on to be that.
I hear that.
You know, I'm good with it. Because it has been the thing that has sustained me. That has allowed for doors to be open for me. So, God was just showing me, listen, you I know what you see. I know where you want to go, but I'm going to take you this way. Go this way. But the beauty in it is the connections that you make with people. Like when I go to poetry events, I genuinely love everybody that hits the stage.
Enough.
That's what poetry does.
I agree.
You know, it bonds us in a way through the poetry where it's like an unspoken love that you naturally form for one another. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, right?
It is.
You be like, I love you. And then you mean it, like, you know?
You do. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I just wish, like in our world as a whole, I wish we just did a better job overall of supporting each other.
Right.
You know? And what I mean by that is, you know, I see, even though I say, you know, we are the birth of all other genres in some formality, you know, to watch how people pour money into other events. I'm going to give you a very solid example. My show started off, Floetry Sundays was $10 a person over over 5.5 years, 2012, 2017. When I elevated to the world famous Broward Center for the Performing Arts, the tickets obviously increased due to the fact of the venue.
Correct.
The Rise. It's a top
Absolutely.
10 venue in the world. And what really puzzled me was, I've heard from, whether family member, friend, fan, or foe, and just different variations, how, how's the ticket, a $35 or $45 ticket, but you paid $250 to go see Jay-Z and Beyonce blindly, can barely pay your rent blindly. But it's an issue to pay for something like us.
Of substance.
Our shows aren't free.
Correct.
Support us in the same regard. You say you love us.
You say you love poetry.
And this is exactly
you
why.
always say, when you're having something,
Show enough.
tell me where you're going to be at.
You be
When
there.
is your show? Oh, I'll be there.
Support it.
That's fine.
We don't
Come.
put on these shows
I tell
for
people
free,
all the
man.
time, if you don't get this one, you'll get another one because I'm out here.
Show enough.
You understand what I'm saying?
They let these shows be for
You'll
free.
get a chance
Let me
to
be
come
very
and see
clear.
me. You'll get a chance to come and see me because this is what
These
I do.
shows cost thousands of dollars, man.
Right.
Thousands of dollars.
Right.
And at Days End, support us in the same regard so we can keep offering what we want to offer. Because at Days End, where the appreciation comes back, it's not just the monetary part. The monetary part is huge because it's our livelihood. This is how we work.
Correct.
It's how we work.
Correct.
Let's be for real.
Right.
But it's a give and take of balance. If I at just using GG's here, which is amazing. If I've set up here at GG's and you come in to support me at GG's, then you need to support GG's.
Hello. Hello.
I'm just saying.
Right.
When you go to the Miami Arena to go see whatever artist, you support that arena by paying the parking to get in, to get to the seat.
They gonna get there.
But you done already bought the seat and all of that, man. Y'all got to do the same thing when it comes to this.
It's a very
and
real thing.
we don't even be on the most expensive part.
Listen,
We're actually arguably the cheapest.
We be trying to wonder, like, is this too much?
But they make it. But I'm over that. But you know what I love that you said earlier in the show in itself is, I had to get from a point where I have to know there are certain cases of where I can actually offer my volunteer services through one of my companies. I got to really start leveling stuff off. But then there's times when I'm just flatline. This is my rate and this is what it costs.
Right.
Well, I can't afford that quick. Okay, well then, no problem at all. Well, I can recommend somebody else for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then I'm not who you need for the job.
Correct.
I'm just saying. Because if you wanted me bad enough, you pay the money for me. That's no shot.
And here's the thing.
Then I'm not worth what you said.
So here's the thing.
To you.
So here's the thing. This is where my bag of opinions comes in. I have to dig in that every now and then. Why is it that people are surprised that you feel you're worth a certain amount, or you feel like when you put a price on what you say, you think it's fair to charge someone?
Absolutely.
Why do people act surprised when it's a poet? Like, if you was calling on a singer and a singer said, this is my fee, this is how much it is for a band, to you that makes sense. To the average person that makes sense. Oh, I got to pay the band, I got to pay da. Oh, okay, how much? Okay, no pressure. But as a poet, it's like, when I say, oh, $300 or $350, it's like, hey, for a poem?
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But you pay it in any other regard. When Nipsey Hussle, just as an example, when Nipsey Hussle was alive, right, on his CDs, at one period of time he was selling it for $100 a CD, and people were buying that CD. No, I'll knock Nip at for it. Get your money. You know your value. You know your worth. I'm not bothered by that.
But how
Get your value.
How they gonna know your worth if you
ain't confident to know your worth?
Listen.
You don't want it. You can't afford me. But you can find money to buy Prada, Fendi,
but
fake this, fake that.
Here's the thing.
Ain't nobody.
People can't really pay you what you worth. You understand what I'm saying? So when you set a fee, it's just to accommodate what you got going on
Absolutely.
in your life. You feel what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I see that as a light bill or a cable bill. All right, I that particular gig right there, I'm gonna pay this with.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. So it's like you can't pay a person what they're worth. People are priceless.
No. If they set their number to that and you really want that person, then you do that. But if that's what you also can do is what I think is actually respectful still is, and I've been there too before. If I can't afford an artist, let's say for instance I came to you, Elaina, and I say, Elaina, I want you for this particular event. What is your rate and or your budget? How do I compensate you? First of all, I respect your ground. I asked you. I went straight to the nail. Love, how much is it going to cost me to get you? I know your value. Right. Or at least I assume so. You say a number. Mm-hmm. If I can't offer that number, you know what I also do? I turn around and say, well, this is what I can offer.
You. Yeah.
Would this work for you? And if it doesn't work for you, can I ask somebody else? And give you a chance to say yeah. And at least you're not with this whole, like I was speaking to another booking last week and we got into a subject and she had said, the whole, how many times I've heard the word opportunity. Like, I'm offering you an opportunity. Mm-hmm. I'm offering you an opportunity. I'm offering you an opportunity. I've heard that so many times to a point now when it's said to me, I hit a draw line, and mine is, I don't need you to even explain what type of opportunity you offering because I know my value, and you arguably almost immediately made me say no. No. Okay. I'm offered a lot of opportunities all the time.
Right.
I turn down 9 out of 10 events because people say that to me. Respect me. If I want to do something for free for you, I'm going to offer that. But I got a whole household at home that I have to take care of.
And now let me interject. So when you hear this man talking, I'm going to need y'all to understand his passion because I'm going to need y'all to understand his grind. And I'm going to need y'all to understand the history because we're not talking to some young poet who just started and is up and coming. We talking to somebody who's pretty established and has been doing it for a while. So
over a decade.
He says that it's not a disrespect. It's not like him being extra cocky.
Yep.
It's him telling you how hard he's worked.
Yep.
Which you don't know when you call. All you know is what you see on social media. All you know is what it looks like. You understand?
Nobody don't know in between outside of people who really watch me on the poetry and spoken word scene. For 4 years of my life, I sacrificed humbly. I performed 4 to 7 nights a week here in South Florida and never got paid a penny. Mm. I performed 25 days out of 30 straight without getting paid a penny. I performed 30 days out of 30 days straight and I didn't get paid a penny. Guess what happened? I didn't complain. I seated myself, prayed about it, kept working hard, and kept evolving through any parts of when it came to when everybody just wanted to offer an opportunity. When I sat there and watched almost every opportunity offered to me offer cash value somewhere else where they felt like, and it wasn't even in the genre. You come out and just do a little poem. Let me take my hat off to this. There ain't no such thing as no little poem.
Right.
It ain't no such thing as no little poem.
Talk to him.
It ain't no such thing as no little poem.
Right.
Some of my poems took me, I'm talking about a year, 2, 3 to write. It ain't no little poem.
Right.
Approach artists as poets and spoken word artists with respect and love, and you'll get it in return.
Correct. All right, we're going to go for a break right now. Cool off the set. We'll be right back with Eat With a Poet. Here, and I have Belle P, who's filming for me.
Just finished my photo shoot with Belle P Entertainment, and I am so pleased with Belle P Production.
You're doing it with Belle P Entertainment. Belle P.
Belle P.
Photography.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Make sure you hit up Belle P Entertainment and Photography.
And we are back with Eat With a Poet. Look what happened, y'all. We multiplied. Ooh. This is the amazing, the beautiful, the wonderful,
They gonna take my hat off.
Red Riding Hood.
Hey.
She has finally joined us today.
Yes,
The
I
people been
apologize.
waiting. They
I
didn't know who was
apologize.
coming.
Listen,
They ain't know.
I'm sorry.
But look, I got her here and I got her favorite thing. Now, if you a Red fan,
then they already
You're right.
know.
which everybody knows, she loves chicken wings. So I'm
Yes,
so
ma'am.
excited to have her here with us eating
For real.
today.
Yes.
We're just gonna jump right in.
Mhm.
I have been asking a few questions. You know, today we were talking about the inauguration and the
Mhm.
gift of poetry and
Mhm.
so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And so right now, I want to go into a few questions that I had for both of you guys.
Sure.
And either one of you guys can jump in and answer this. Quick, you can answer. Red can answer.
Sure.
Whatever.
Right
And
to the point.
yeah, we going in.
For
Ain't,
sure.
ain't no pressure.
Mhm.
Rapid fire.
You
We
know
get
what I
like-
said?
we get-
You know what I said?
Big V, what we get like 30 seconds, like each one, bam, bam, bam,
Okay.
bam on my response.
So here we go.
For sure.
All right. We normally we clear everything off.
Sure.
But today was a special show. And today was a little bit extended, and that's fine. We're good with that. You know what I'm saying? We all right with that. So we still eating, we still vibing. We doing things the way we want to do them. So I have a question for the poets of America
Sure.
from South Florida. My first question for either of you is, if you got the call to recite poetry for the country in a world event, what would your poem be about?
The world events.
Yeah, I would have to say that too.
The
To a
real
degree,
event.
I would,
You know,
So
at the end
you-
of the day,
uh-huh.
I would just go and, I mean, lightly, because, you know, everything is politically correct.
yeah,
Mhm.
So to be able to say the truth,
Yeah.
like, in a way that's acceptable,
agreed.
you understand?
Agreed.
Then I would have to really take my time
I agree.
and, like, consciously
Yeah.
get off what needs to be said
Mhm.
Right.
and address the beautiful side, the ugly side, and
Right.
what we going to do to fix it. That's
Right.
what the poem would be mostly about.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Man, you about took the words right up out of my mouth.
Right,
but
right.
I do agree with it to the especially to the extent of being politically correct, because opportunity is opportunity, you know.
Mhm.
And if we get up there, being the fact that we aren't respected how we should be respected globally, you know, and we don't express necessary detail, it could cancel it for others moving forward in the future. So I definitely agree with Red. I would have hit all of those things, like you said, the conscious part, but I would have hit a spin back to, you know, incorporating love, whether good, bad, or ugly, and I would have probably rolled it back on to, you know, the power and importance of poetry and spoken word to the world, and almost kind of that's it. That's why we dope. And thank you. Let's keep it going. Bam.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Just like that. Because I saw the time on. They gave her what, a minute and a couple of seconds or so. And you know, and she did her thing for what she wanted to do with it.
Right.
But for me, with that, that's exactly what I did. They would have got all that in one smash.
Okay, so either one of y'all can jump in. How do you feel about Amanda Gorman's poem? Wait. Were you engaged the entire time in the name of some fire poetry and undeniable passion through delivery? Or were you respectful to the poetry just out of the fact that we had an opportunity to be in front of the world? Did you feel overwhelmed with the love? And were you content as if it was a win for us?
Right.
And do you feel that the poem could have been better? Do you feel like you could have wrote a better poem?
I'm in no position to judge
Not
nobody's
at all.
work.
That's
Shit.
okay.
So at the end of the day, I keep that very,
Right.
you know, respectful to the craft and the
Right.
person that wrote it, the poet, credit to her. I am more overjoyed at the overall invitation
Right.
of poetry.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, you know,
Right.
where I'm
Now-
at.
now-
I think her poem was phenomenal.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it was dope. I think she
As a poet,
articulated.
that's respected.
absolutely.
From you as a poet,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I respect your opinion on that.
Yep.
Mhm.
Because you are someone to be looked up to. If poets are up and coming and you saying some stuff,
Mhm.
they need to respect that. For me, I think it was a great poem as well. Do I feel like some poets that would have been given that opportunity could have written a better poem and done a
Absolutely.
better poem? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
You like the
Absolutely.
poem?
I like the poem, but I feel like that it took for them to put her on the stage for the world to recognize how amazing poetry really is. I feel like that there are so many people like yourself, Quick the Poet, that's just here in South Florida. We talk about the poets that we don't know. Sure. That's grinding.
Sure no.
That's really amazing talents that if had been given the opportunity to do that, probably would have been just as amazing. If not, to me, better. I've heard people do poems, and then I've heard people do better poems. Now, that's not me judging. That's just the way the poem hit me when I'm listening to the person who's doing it.
I think for her, that's her. I think kind of where probably went in different directions for people too, and maybe even for yourself. That's her performance style, and maybe like even what Red saying too. For me in particular, I would have, and it's no judgment in her work at all.
No, I think
she did.
Think it was extremely phenomenal.
I think she did.
I thought she was dope in the sense that she was well articulated.
Yeah.
You understood every word that girl said.
Yeah.
You were able to kind of ride the wave through everything, every emotion, every place that those different lines came from. She was poised and elegant.
Yep.
And I think sometimes we like to see rah, 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 and think
power.
that's what it would require to be just as her.
Yep.
And that's not the case.
That's
so for me, she still came through just like if I heard Georgia Me or a Saul Williams or a, you know what I'm saying? Just there are poets with different styles. Period. Completely different styles. And so I think when you can appreciate poetry that doesn't always sound like the thing that you would like to hear, it can still be just as
impactful. Absolutely. That's the beauty in poetry.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it comes in so many styles, so many forms, just like people. You know what I'm saying? So
and
that's
then you had people like Maya Angelou.
Absolutely.
Amanda's not the first black woman to perform poetry at the inauguration.
She's not.
There was Maya Angelou.
Absolutely.
Who was also not rah-rah, but heavy in the game. Paved the way. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, at the end of the day, when we are looking at a black woman bringing poetry to that platform like that,
surely,
that's a whole blessing.
It is a blessing.
So it's just a beautiful feeling to have seen that. That's why I just wanted to talk about her on my timeline. I said something about her online just because I don't know if sometimes we realize how we can be appreciated, respected, and all of that stuff, and it shows through that kind of opportunity when they're at the inauguration doing it, when they're just before the Super Bowl opening with poetry. Poetry is being recognized,
and that's what I was saying, that the atmosphere is changing. This is what I said, let us be transparent. Because as poets, it is our responsibility as the voice of the people. It's what we've made a conscious decision to do with our lives.
Absolutely.
Right? It's what we've chosen to do. Now, it's not about who's better. Right? It's about the world denying themselves of great poetry. Because they have to be forced to remember the poets of America by way of the inauguration.
Absolutely.
Okay? So this is my passion. You understand? Should poets be supported more financially? Red, go Red. Should we be supported more financially by the world?
Yes, but I do hold that. I hold that to both sides of the coin.
Okay.
From the people, and then them themselves as poets have to be accountable for the work they put in order to be supported financially. In order to be, if these people don't see you out here grinding, they're not coming to knock at your door to support you. So you have to stay in constant rotation and circulation.
So here's the thing. Me and Quick was having a conversation earlier. And it's not that people won't, throw you a few coins for what you do if they see you grinding. Our thing is, for me, it's like most poets have to have a second, third job. When this is really our life. You get what I'm saying? This is really what, like I was saying earlier, Sarah Jakes Roberts says, anything that you're willing to suffer for, Anything you're willing to suffer for in order to see success is connected directly to your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And we suffer for this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We suffer for this.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, we have to, I don't know what we can do to be able to show the world how worthy it is.
I can actually chime in on that.
Go ahead.
And just in a more simple form. I'm talking about globally in a better form, at least until we can get there. Red kind of hit on the point. We have to do a better job internally in the poetry and spoken word community, nationally and internationally, of supporting each other. It's so separated in different forms. You have this group in Florida, you got this group in Georgia, you got this group in North Carolina, you got this group in New York, wherever. But if we found a way to connect in the circuits better, as in when Red Riding Hood going to, I'm just giving you a headline example. Red is going to headline in Georgia,
right,
North Carolina,
mm-hmm.
New York,
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City, down to Texas, back on to Alabama, then back on down to South Florida. We, I think, in the poetry and spoken word community have to do a better job as in when it comes to the connecting points, like your powerhouses. Like anybody that hit me and anybody that know me, period. You hit me on my inbox, quick, what's going on down there in South Florida? Where you got Ingrid B doing this, you got this person doing this, you got Red doing this, you got... And I think if we were better mouthpieces for each other and support, and or offering those opportunities to each other, like really building the market, uplifting each other.
Everybody.
God knows
She tries to be.
Listen,
Y'all got to know this lady.
Listen to me. My due diligence with that, anytime I'm ever reached out to, because I don't know what you need.
Yep.
Until you call me.
Right.
You call me either for, opinion about a poem or what happened in Atlanta, who is that? Can you plug me with that person? I'm hitting you right back.
Sure enough.
You understand? And then I'm going to call that person in that city and say, hey, so-and-so coming through, they want to be able to get on stage. Right. They only in town for a couple of days. I know the show night, whatever. And I make that happen. Now, at the same time, I can't do the handheld.
Sure enough.
I'm not. Will didn't do that to us. So at the end of the day, I'm not finna come and knock on your door and say, come on, let's go grind. Or come on, you should be over here on this stage. Or you need to go over here and do that.
Right.
It's going to, if I see that you are like requiring my assistance some kind of way and you asking me for it, I'm going to reply. I'm going to make sure you get the connection. And,
I agree 100%.
I hope you be successful and that they call you back. And you know what I'm saying?
You're doing it for the right reasons. You got your love and your heart into it. It's a real thing for you.
Or if an event comes my way and I'm not available, I call around and say, I know I may not be able to make it, but I do know another dope poet that can.
Correct.
And then not only that, I think of the person that is going to be fitting for it.
Yep.
Because it's more than just saying, girl, go get them $200.
Sure.
It's not that.
Exactly.
If you fit for it.
Absolutely.
It's things you got to consider. You don't just throw people anything.
That's experience, though.
That's
experience. Y'all, we could go 1,000 hours with this subject.
Sure.
But we're going to wind it down a little bit. I do want to hear a little bit more from our poets. I do have a few more questions. Let me see here. I don't know which ones I want to hit because I can't ask them all right now, y'all. Let me see.
Ask whatever's most important to you. You know what I mean?
All right.
We on your event here.
This is a big one because when we talk, like we're all professional poets at this table. But when I was talking earlier about how the world doesn't look at poetry as much of an art or it doesn't get as much love as music. Which I feel like, it's two different arts, but the love I have for it and how passionate I am about it, to me, it should be on the same level.
Sure. Agreed.
Okay. Do you feel like as a poet, while you're grinding, and we know you take it seriously, but do you feel like the world looks at poetry as it's a hobby? Or for you as a poet, it's like, man, so you still doing that? You still work at such and such? Oh, you still doing that poetry thing? Or, I'm going to come and get to one of your shows. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me plug up my computer. Okay. I'm going to come and get to one of your shows. Like, would they approach a rapper or a full-time singer or artist that way?
I'll say this. I don't think they'll approach them in the same regard based on the different views of how they see our levels. But what I've come to find, just using myself as an example, you got to keep yourself here and be willing to say yes or no to certain things. I've been offered numerous opportunities, but it's like we talked about from before, that fucking word opportunity. People say to me, opportunity, okay, well, I've been offered thousands of opportunities. But I have a right to say yes or no. If it's not good enough for me, then it's nothing. But if I keep myself here, you know a word that'll start spreading? Well, you know what? Quicks, I don't know necessarily his number, but when I asked him to do this particular event, you got to make sure that your compensation is lined. People will start getting that seat. They'll start getting that. Or they'll stop coming to you with the nonsense. And the comparison will add up right if, also too, and when those opportunities do knock, it's not so much about you just seizing them. It's also you taking a humble but strong approach to it.
Honestly, Red Riding Hood is the one who told me to start with a number. You know what I'm saying? When I already was getting in the game and feeling like, man, I want to get paid for this. Red is the one who pulled me to the side and Elaina, straight up, this is what you can get paid for this. This is what you should do. Yeah, and I started to look at it more differently and take it more, on a serious thing. And people have said to me about you and how you are with business. If you're calling her about business, it has to be about business. She does not play
if I'm on the
about
flyer,
her professional people. Yes.
True.
And I just think, I honestly, I just wish more poets took themselves serious enough to not just be taking shit. Like, it's one thing to build resume.
Yep.
And then there's another thing to like make sure that once you have passed your, I guess that little rookie phase, right? You know what I'm saying? Like once you pay your dues, now it's time to upgrade business. Correct. Your business mind. Taking yourself serious enough to say, well, I'm taking away time from my children. I'm taking away, like why not? You're pulling yourself away from family, just like you go to your job every day, Monday through Friday, to give these people your best and things. They paying you for that. Right. Just as that, you get up out your house, you get dressed intentionally. By the time I do my hair and nails and shit like that, I done spent the money I'm charging it. That's real talk.
No, it's real.
Listen, that is real talk. So how dare I not charge?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
You understand? Right. Especially when the tickets is $45.
Correct.
Girl, bye.
Bitch will let you fly into a whole nother city.
Y'all,
they'll let you put yourself up in a hotel and I done been there with all that shit.
What we gonna
I believe in my work. I done went and got mine. I know exactly what you're saying.
And I have been there and done that. You understand? I have broken even in some cases. I have put myself in a hole in some cases. Girl,
you just gotta draw a line somewhere.
You understand? So at the end of the day, it's like, hello, yes, you could, if you wanted the free or the 75, then you could have called me year one of when I got in the game.
Correct.
Straight up.
Correct.
Beyond that, after that, no.
I love it. We gotta wrap it up. I got one more question for y'all, and then we're gonna get out of here. How do you think we can actively work on showing the world that we should be treated as the connection or a major resource? Because I feel like poets are the connection. I feel like we are the resource, to life, and that people they're not tapping in the way they should into these poets. Any one of y'all can run that.
I don't give the people that responsibility fully. And the reason why I don't is just because we just have to stay focused on doing the work. Everything else will fall. These people will tap in eventually. You understand? Like, if right now poetry had a real live category in the Grammys.
Sure enough.
Or the Hip Hop Awards or whatever. You understand? Like, that would be a beautiful thing. Not like hidden behind. It's never announced. It's not televised ever. But we know that it exists. Right? But it's not Nia Long out there
First
saying, and the next so-and-so for spoken word, best spoken word performance, whatever, and we see a Sheba, and we see a May Ray, and we see an Elaina, and we see it, you understand? Like, where they actually are flashing and hearing the audience, because now the world knows about poetry so much that they clap it every time they hear oh yeah, hell yeah, Georgia, yes, or hell, Elaina, yes. It's not presented that way, but the moment that it is when the world will eventually tap into and connect with because if they're not, there's a lot of people, believe it or not, that are not aware about poetry existence.
Right.
True.
Because when I got in the game, long as the game been before me, when I got in the game, somebody had to tell me that poetry was being done in South Florida.
I told you that earlier, y'all.
So there's a lot of people,
world.
believe it or not.
It's
it
a
ain't that
world.
they not tapping in. A lot of people truly don't know in 2021.
It's the world, y'all.
Even with Maya being the inauguration poet back then.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's been presented to the world at some point on a very, big and large platform. It's just the people, they're not gravitating until it trends like the TikTok. My kids and shit with the TikTok.
Yeah.
Everything falls behind TikTok and whatever the major thing is right now. Poetry will catch one day. We just have to stay focused and do the work.
And
I'm glad you actually said that.
Mm-hmm.
Just in a quick period to it. It comes full circle in protecting the value of the poetry and spoken word and the growth with each other. And that's what I meant by when it comes to the connecting cities, and I appreciate you just saying earlier, Elaina, when it comes to South Florida, just in simplicity, what Red brings, I bring,
Correct.
you know what I mean?
Correct.
A lot of people don't understand on the back of these scenes. Me and Red have been friends for over a decade. We came up on the same scene together in two different households. She came up with them. I came up with Asian them, but we were like cousins. And then we ended up in the synagogue. It's like, girl, what's up, man?
Yeah.
And we elevated together. And if everybody kind of brought one thing I can really respect, and I'll say this at least for us. I don't know about nowhere else in the world. But that time when we came up, is exactly why I am and why I operate how I do right now. My shit is on. I want it to be growth for all of us in the poetry and spoken word game. And I'm going to plant that seed whether somebody like it or not. I'm going to get a replacement for myself that's going to be taking over the shows eventually and all that stuff down the line. And you know what I mean? And it grows the seed of it and all. It comes right back to, let's say, for instance, in the White House as a whole. We had a chance to see Obama. Now we got Kamala. You know what I mean? Yeah. So things come with growth. And if we continue to stick together, long story short, poetry and spoken word, it will continue to evolve and rise beyond belief.
Let me explain something to y'all. This was a show that it made my heart so happy, y'all. I live here. I love poetry. I love to talk about it. And who better to talk about it with than people that I truly love. Real poets out here in America doing things, making a difference. Please, you guys, follow them. Red Riding Hood, Quick the Poet. We will provide you with their handles and things like that. Follow these professionals. Pay them some money, y'all. And let's eat with the poet.
Showing up.
Queens was good. Thank you
All
for
this was
having
good.
me.
GG's Music
With my
Cafe.
ladies.
Eat with a poet. Is up.
Hi, y'all.
Peace to all the queens. What's up out there? Tapping in. I need everybody to tap in. Cool people. Eat with a poet. Subscribe. Never leak it or show it. Gotta pull your own weight. If you reap it, you sow it. Come eat with a poet. Gotta plant it and grow it. Drop that artificial food. Come and eat with a poet. Kicking words with the poets, I get lyrical. Physical is great, my journey now is spiritual. Peace to the queens in the nation and foreign. I would like to introduce you to Elaina the poet. Stayed down in the jungle like some bare feet. Now when we toast, ace of spade, no more bare feet. Poking beans, Dane County, yeah, I'm still hood. Spread love, feed the homeless cause it feels good. Now pay attention, this is knowledge of wealth. Throw the school books away, this is knowledge of self. Quiet is kept, listen, this the revolution broadcast. Now pay attention to Elaina and her podcast. Never leak it and show it. Gotta pull your own weight if you reap it, you sow it. Yeah, gotta plant it and grow it. Drop that artificial food, come and eat with a poet. Come eat with a poet.